Welcome back, dear listeners, to another enriching episode of Within and Without, a path to mindful living. I'm Arya Elena, your host and fellow seeker on this journey of self-discovery and spiritual insight. Thank you for tuning in once again as we explore the profound wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita and its relevance to our modern lives. Before we dive into today's discussion, let's take a moment to revisit episode 7. We explored chapter 7 of the Gita, where Krishna shared his insights on the knowledge of the absolute, the interconnectedness of all things, and the divine essence that permeates the universe. Together with Ryan, we reflected on how this knowledge guides us to see the sacred in everyday experiences and align our lives with higher purpose. Building on that foundation, today we embark on a journey into chapter 8, Akshara Brahma Yoga, or the yoga of the imperishable absolute. This chapter invites us to confront one of life's most profound questions. What is the ultimate goal of our existence? And how do we prepare ourselves for life's final transition, the moment of departure from this physical world? Joining me as always is Ryan Wells, our insightful guide and co-navigator through these philosophical landscapes. Ryan, chapter 8 is a deeply reflective and transformative discourse. It's not just about death. It's about understanding life itself in its most eternal context. What are your thoughts as we approach this topic?
Thanks, Arya. You're absolutely right. Chapter 8 offers a profound roadmap to what Krishna calls the ultimate attainment, the realization of the Akshara Brahma, the eternal and imperishable essence. Krishna's teachings here challenge us to look beyond the fleeting nature of material existence and align ourselves with something far greater, far more enduring. This chapter also delves into the mechanics of how our consciousness at the time of death shapes our journey after this life, a topic that has fascinated not just spiritual seekers, but philosophers and scientists alike. It's remarkable how Krishna connects these eternal truths to practical guidance, offering ways to focus our mind and actions in this life to prepare for the ultimate journey.
Exactly, Ryan. And what I find so inspiring about this chapter is how it reminds us of the power of choice. We often think of life's final moment as something out of our control, but Krishna suggests that how we live shapes how we transition, and ultimately where we go from there. As we explore these teachings today, we'll also look at how they resonate with modern thinkers like Sadhguru and Yogananda. We'll uncover parallels in other spiritual traditions and share practical tools for preparing ourselves, not just for the end of life, but for living more fully and mindfully right now. So, dear listeners, let's settle in for what promises to be a transformative episode. And before we begin, a quick reminder. If you've been enjoying this series, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Within and Without. Help us grow this community of mindful explorers by sharing this podcast with your friends and loved ones. Together, we can create a ripple of awareness and insight. Now, let's dive in. To truly grasp the essence of Chapter 8, we first need to explore Krishna's profound explanation of the Akshara Brahma, the eternal, unchanging reality. Krishna tells Arjuna that everything we experience in this world is transient. Our bodies, our achievements, even our relationships are impermanent. Yet, beneath all this impermanence lies something eternal, the Brahman, a reality that is never born and never dies. Ryan, how do you interpret this timeless truth?
It's a profound reminder, Arya. Krishna is drawing our attention to the duality we often ignore, the transient versus the eternal. While the body and mind are subject to time, change, and dissolution, the Atman, or the soul, is untouched by these forces. Krishna explains that focusing on this eternal aspect of our being helps us transcend fear and attachment, enabling us to live with greater clarity and purpose. This teaching is not just theoretical, it's immensely practical. Krishna emphasizes that by cultivating awareness of the eternal, we can align our thoughts, words, and actions with a higher purpose. This reminds me of what Sadhguru often says about going beyond identification with the physical and mental aspects of life. He calls it a shift from compulsiveness to consciousness, a state where we're not just reacting to the transient, but engaging with life from a place of inner stability and awareness.
That's beautifully said, Ryan. Krishna also speaks about the role of mindfulness and focus, especially at the time of death. He tells Arjuna that the thoughts we hold in our final moments determine our next destination. If we focus on the eternal, on Krishna, or the divine, we attain liberation. If our mind clings to worldly attachments, we remain caught in the cycle of birth and death. This is a concept echoed in Yogananda's teachings on Kriya Yoga. He often emphasized that controlling the breath and calming the mind allow us to elevate our consciousness to higher realms. The breath becomes a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, enabling us to focus our awareness on the eternal self at any moment, especially at life's transition points.
Absolutely. And Krishna doesn't stop at explaining what happens at the time of death. He also provides a practical roadmap for living. He introduces the idea of bhakti yoga, or the yoga of devotion, as a way to connect with the eternal. By cultivating unwavering love and surrender to the divine, we can navigate life's uncertainties with grace and resilience. This aligns closely with what the Dalai Lama teaches about compassion and interconnectedness. By dissolving the illusion of separation, we find strength not just for the end of life, but for every moment in between. What I find particularly striking, Arya, is Krishna's assurance that no effort on the spiritual path is ever wasted. Whether through devotion, meditation, or selfless action, every step we take toward the eternal leaves an imprint on our soul, guiding us closer to liberation.
That's such a comforting thought, Rayan. It's a reminder that our efforts, however small, matter. Even as we face setbacks or doubts, the momentum we build on the spiritual path carries us forward. And Krishna's emphasis on devotion makes spirituality accessible to everyone, regardless of their intellectual or philosophical leanings. Whether through prayer, meditation, or simply mindful living, each of us can align with the eternal in a way that resonates with our own hearts. Listeners, as you reflect on Krishna's teachings in this chapter, consider this. What would it mean to live your life with the awareness that your thoughts, actions, and even your final moments shape your journey beyond this life? How might this perspective change the way you approach challenges, relationships, and your inner growth?
It's a profound question, Arya, and as we move through this episode, we'll unpack more practical ways to apply these teachings to our daily lives. Stay tuned as we explore the historical and cultural context of Chapter 8 and draw parallels with other spiritual traditions. Let's keep diving deeper.
To truly appreciate the depth of Chapter 8, it's essential to revisit the context in which the Bhagavad Gita unfolds. Picture the battlefield of Kurukshetra, a place of immense turmoil and tension. Arjuna stands in the midst of a moral and emotional crisis, paralyzed by the thought of fighting his own family and teachers. Amid this chaos, Krishna delivers teachings that transcend the immediate battle, offering timeless wisdom about the soul, the eternal, and the ultimate purpose of life. Rayan, why do you think Krishna chose this battlefield as the setting for such profound spiritual teachings?
It's a brilliant metaphor, Arya. The battlefield represents the inner conflict we all experience. The tug of war between our material desires and spiritual aspirations, between fear and courage, between attachment and liberation. Arjuna's struggle mirrors our own, and Krishna's teachings are a guide for navigating these internal battles. The choice of this setting also highlights the idea that spiritual wisdom is not meant to be confined to monasteries or mountaintops. It's meant to be lived and practiced in the midst of life's challenges. Krishna is teaching us that even in the most tumultuous situations, we can align with the eternal truth and act with purpose.
That's such an empowering perspective, Rayan. It reminds me of Sadhguru's teachings on the importance of staying grounded in awareness, no matter the external circumstances. He often draws parallels between the chaos of life and the symbolic battlefield, urging us to see every challenge as an opportunity to deepen our connection with the self. Another powerful aspect of Chapter 8 is Krishna's explanation of the Om vibration as the ultimate sound of the universe. He describes it as the essence of the eternal, the link between the physical and the spiritual. This idea resonates with ancient Vedic teachings, where Om is seen as the primordial sound, the origin of creation itself. How does this connect with the broader cultural and spiritual context of the Gita?
Om represents unity and interconnectedness, Arya. It's the vibration that underpins all existence, reminding us that everything we experience, both seen and unseen, is part of a larger divine reality. In the Vedic tradition, chanting Om is not just a practice. It's a way to attune ourselves to the rhythm of the universe. The Gita's emphasis on Om also reflects its inclusivity. By focusing on this universal sound, Krishna provides a spiritual tool that transcends boundaries of religion and culture. It's a thread that connects the teachings of the Gita to practices found in Buddhism, where chanting is used to cultivate mindfulness, and even Christianity, where hymns and prayers are tools for connecting with the divine.
Exactly, Ryan. And what's fascinating is how Krishna ties this cosmic perspective to the very personal. He explains that at the moment of death, focusing on Om, or the divine essence, can guide the soul to liberation. This concept is mirrored in Yogananda's teachings on transitioning through higher states of consciousness during meditation and at the end of life. Listeners, as you reflect on this historical and cultural backdrop, consider the battlefield of Kurukshetra as a metaphor for your own life. What inner battles are you facing right now? How might Krishna's teachings on the eternal and the power of Om help you navigate those challenges with greater clarity and peace?
It's a powerful reflection, Arya, and it sets the stage beautifully for our next section, where we'll explore how these teachings can be applied to modern life. Let's uncover the practical wisdom that Chapter 8 offers for navigating today's fast-paced, often chaotic world. In a world dominated by material pursuits, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Krishna reminds us that the ultimate goal isn't the accumulation of wealth or status, but the realization of our eternal self. This perspective helps us reprioritize our lives, focusing on inner growth and mindful living instead of external validation. Take the concept of preparing for the final moment of life, for example. It might sound morbid to some, but it's actually deeply empowering. Krishna teaches that our thoughts, habits, and focus throughout life determine the state of our consciousness at the time of death. This means that every moment is an opportunity to practice mindfulness and cultivate inner peace. Sadhguru echoes this in his work on death as a spiritual process, emphasizing the importance of conscious living to prepare for a graceful departure.
That's such an important point, Ryan. And this isn't just about the end of life. It's about how we approach every moment. Krishna's advice to focus on the eternal can help us deal with everyday stresses. For instance, when we face setbacks at work or in relationships, remembering that these challenges are temporary can provide perspective. It allows us to respond with calmness and clarity rather than being overwhelmed by the situation. Modern mindfulness practices, like breath awareness or meditation, can help us build this kind of resilience. Yogananda's teachings on Kriya Yoga emphasize the breath as a bridge between the body and the soul. By simply paying attention to our breath, we can anchor ourselves in the present moment and connect with something deeper.
Absolutely, Arya. And Krishna's idea of surrender to the divine, letting go of our attachment to outcomes, has a powerful application here. In today's world, we're often fixated on results, whether it's hitting a career milestone or achieving a personal goal. This creates anxiety and stress when things don't go as planned. Krishna's teaching reminds us to focus on the effort, not the outcome. Sadhguru calls this the art of living with intensity, but without attachment, which is a liberating way to approach both success and failure.
Exactly, Ryan. And another aspect of Chapter 8 that stands out is Krishna's emphasis on devotion as a path to liberation. Devotion, or bhakti yoga, doesn't require intellectual prowess or complex rituals. It's about cultivating love and surrender. This can be as simple as practicing gratitude, engaging in selfless acts, or finding joy in daily tasks. It's a reminder that spirituality isn't separate from daily life. It's woven into how we think, act, and connect with others. Listeners, think about this. How might your life change if you approached your challenges with the mindset of surrender and focus on the eternal? How would it feel to replace worry with trust and effort with devotion?
It's a transformative perspective, Arya, and it's one that we can all begin to practice, regardless of our circumstances. Whether it's through meditation, acts of service, or simply pausing to reflect on what truly matters, there are so many ways to integrate Krishna's teachings into our lives. For example, in stressful moments, try this. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and silently chant Om. Visualize the sound connecting you to the eternal essence that Krishna speaks of. This simple practice can help center your mind and bring a sense of peace and perspective, even in the midst of chaos.
Such a beautiful practice, Rayan. And as we move forward, we'll explore a mindfulness exercise inspired by Chapter 8 that you can incorporate into your daily routine. It's a way to not only connect with the eternal, but also cultivate inner stability and resilience in the face of life's uncertainties. Now that we've explored the timeless wisdom of Chapter 8, let's take a few moments to integrate these teachings into a practical mindfulness exercise. This practice is inspired by Krishna's guidance to focus the mind on the eternal and align our thoughts with the divine. It's designed to help you cultivate inner peace and clarity, whether you're facing life's challenges or simply seeking a moment of calm. Before we begin, find a comfortable place to sit. You can sit on the floor or in a chair. Just ensure your back is straight and your shoulders are relaxed. Close your eyes gently and place your hands on your knees or in your lap. Let's take a moment to settle into this space. Take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs completely, and slowly exhale through your mouth. Let's do this 2 more times. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly, releasing any tension in your body. 1 more time. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly. Now let your breathing return to its natural rhythm. Notice the flow of your breath as it moves in and out of your nostrils. Feel the coolness of the air as you inhale and the warmth as you exhale. Allow your mind to rest gently on the breath, like a feather floating on a still lake. As you breathe, bring your awareness to the sound of Om. You can silently chant Om in your mind with each breath. Inhale and think Om, and exhale with Om. Feel this sacred sound resonating through your body, connecting you to the eternal presence that Krishna speaks of in Chapter 8. If your mind begins to wander, that's okay. Simply bring your focus back to your breath and the sound of Om. Imagine this sound as a thread connecting you to the divine essence within and around you. Now, visualize a bright, warm light at the center of your chest, your heart center. With each inhale, imagine this light growing brighter and more radiant. With each exhale, feel it spreading throughout your body, filling you with a sense of peace and stillness. This light represents the eternal self, the unchanging essence that Krishna describes, the part of you that is untouched by time, fear, or uncertainty. Take a few moments to rest in this light, breathing gently and feeling its presence within you. As we come to the end of this practice, take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Bring your hands together in front of your chest in a gesture of gratitude, if you feel comfortable. Silently thank yourself for taking this time to connect with your inner self and the eternal essence within you. When you're ready, gently open your eyes and return to the space around you. Take a moment to notice how you feel. Perhaps a little calmer, a little more centered, a little more connected. This practice is something you can return to anytime you feel overwhelmed or disconnected. By focusing on the breath, the sound of Om, and the light within, you can ground yourself in the eternal presence that Krishna teaches us to align with. I hope this practice brings you peace and clarity, dear listeners. And remember, even a few moments of mindfulness can make a big difference in your day. Now, let's move on to exploring how these teachings resonate across different spiritual traditions. One of the beautiful aspects of Krishna's teachings in Chapter 8 is their universality. The concepts of the eternal self, divine focus, and preparation for the final transition aren't unique to Hinduism. They resonate deeply across various spiritual traditions. Ryan, how do you see these teachings reflected in other religions?
Great question, Arya. Let's start with Christianity. The Bible often speaks about the eternal nature of the soul and the idea of preparing for the afterlife. For instance, in the Gospel of John, Jesus says, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die." This mirrors Krishna's assurance that those who focus on the divine attain liberation, transcending death. The Christian emphasis on faith and devotion aligns closely with Bhakti Yoga, the path of surrender and love Krishna describes. Similarly, in Islam, the concept of Tawheed, the oneness of God, emphasizes surrender to the divine will. The practice of remembering Allah through repeated chants or prayers is akin to the chanting of Om or Krishna's name in the Gita. Both traditions stress the importance of focusing the mind on the eternal to guide one's actions and prepare for the ultimate union with the divine.
Exactly, Ryan. And if we turn to Buddhism, we find another fascinating parallel. Although Buddhism doesn't focus on a creator deity, it teaches the concept of nirvana, a state of liberation from the cycle of birth and death. This is similar to Krishna's explanation of liberation through awareness of the eternal self. Practices like mindfulness and meditation in Buddhism also reflect Krishna's emphasis on focus and self-discipline, particularly at the time of death.
Absolutely. Another interesting comparison is with Native American spiritual traditions, where there's a strong focus on the interconnectedness of life. Many tribes believe in the cyclical nature of existence and emphasize living in harmony with the universe. This reflects Krishna's teaching about the eternal presence that underlies all creation and the importance of aligning our lives with that universal truth. And let's not forget modern spiritual thought leaders. Sadhguru, for instance, often emphasizes the importance of aligning our energy and focus with the larger cosmic intelligence. His teachings on inner engineering resonate deeply with Krishna's guidance on preparing for life's transitions by cultivating awareness and mindfulness.
That's so true, Ryan. What strikes me about all these perspectives is how they converge on the idea of living with awareness and preparing for life's transitions, not just death, but all moments of change. Whether through prayer, meditation, or acts of devotion, every tradition offers tools to connect with the eternal and navigate life's challenges with grace. Listeners, as you reflect on these parallels, consider this. What practices from your own spiritual or personal traditions help you align with the eternal? How do you prepare your mind and heart for moments of uncertainty or change?
It's a powerful reflection, Arya, and it reminds us that while the language and practices of different traditions may vary, the core truths often align. Whether we call it Brahman, God, Nirvana, or the cosmic intelligence, the message is clear. Living with focus, love, and surrender brings us closer to the eternal essence that unites us all.
Before we wrap up today's episode, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've explored together. We've delved into the profound teachings of Chapter 8, Akshara Brahma Yoga, and uncovered how Krishna's guidance on the eternal self, devotion, and mindfulness resonates across time, cultures, and traditions. Now, I'd like to hear from you, our listeners. Here are a few reflection prompts to deepen your engagement with today's discussion. What practices in your life help you stay connected to the eternal, even amidst life's distractions and challenges? How do you interpret Krishna's teaching that our thoughts and focus at the time of death shape our journey beyond this life? Are there moments in your day when you could integrate a simple practice, like silently chanting Om or focusing on your breath, to cultivate a sense of peace and alignment? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. We'd love to hear your insights and experiences.
And let's not forget to practice what we've learned, Arya. We invite you to take just 5 minutes each day to try the mindfulness exercise we shared earlier. Even a few moments of conscious breathing or chanting Om can create a ripple of calm and clarity in your life. Remember, as Krishna says, no effort on the spiritual path is ever wasted. If today's discussion inspired you, share this episode with your friends and loved ones. Let's grow this community of mindful explorers together. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. It helps us reach more listeners and continue bringing these teachings to life.
Next week, we'll be diving into Chapter 9, The Most Confidential Knowledge, where Krishna reveals even deeper truths about devotion and the nature of the divine. It's an episode you won't want to miss. As we close, let's take a moment of gratitude for this time together, for the wisdom of Krishna, and for the opportunity to explore these teachings in our lives. Thank you, as always, for joining us on this journey. Until next time, stay mindful, stay connected, and remember, the path to the eternal begins with the choices we make in each moment.
Join us on Within and Without, a path to mindful living, as we explore the art of mindfulness together. Subscribe to our channel for more insights and practices to bring mindfulness into your everyday life.